What is up, Steeler fans? Welcome back to another episode of The Hangover. I'm Daniel, and alongside with me, Tate and my buddy Shannon White. This has been a crazy day, March Madness for the Pittsburgh Steelers and for the NFL. Go in order. Tate, how are you doing? How excited are you after today's news?
Daniel, what's up to you and Shannon, man? I'm doing good, man. My second week with the Hangover crew. Good to be here. As far as today goes and the Steelers, as a Steeler fan, I'm pleased with today, right? I'm pleased with today. The only thing that didn't happen that I would have wished happened is Malik Willis signed, but that didn't happen. But everything else had happened, and that was always a long shot anyway, right? Mm-hmm. But the more it drug out, and haven't heard anything official from Aaron Rodgers yet, I was hoping they'd make a bold move and just do something. But I'm pleased with what they did today in the first actual legal tampering day of free agency.
I am too. Shannon, I know you're learning some new information and some new news as we go along, but how are you? Are you pleased? Are you excited? Has it gone as you anticipated?
Well, I mean, some of it is shocking. Like I didn't even know Michael Pittman was on the table. I didn't know he was a consideration. We've talked at length about Alex Pierce. Mm-hmm. But honestly, with Metcalf, Pierce would be redundant. But Pittman is a solid number 2. He was really number 1 for the Colts. I think he'll be a solid 2 or 1A, however you want to look at it. He's a chain mover. He's a hands catcher. He's a reliable third down target, can run more of a full route tree. He's big. So if you need that size, if something happened and Metcalf misses a little bit of time, hopefully don't get suspended again. But you know what I'm saying? That Pittman can slide out there. And this doesn't change anything. They're still going to draft at least one. And they might sign another free agent. And hopefully they'll use Roman Wilson. You know, this is a novel idea. We got a 3rd-round pick that we've never really given a chance. Let's give him a chance, and you might have something. So, I'm pretty excited about everything today. Getting, in my opinion, a top 3 corner in free agency on the first day for the price they paid. A guy who had the lowest yards per attempt against, the lowest quarterback grade against. I mean, he was up at the top. You know, it's funny, James Pierre, who the Steelers lost today, actually graded higher than Dean, but they were both in the top 3 on PFF. So, but Dean is much more accomplished. Dean's won a Super Bowl. Dean's, been in multiple playoff games. He's locked down some of the best receivers in the NFC, for Tampa. So I think the Steelers got an excellent addition with their first big splash of free agency.
Yeah, they definitely did. I think, and we'll get more into details when we get into those positions. But yeah, I think they definitely, cross some position of need off the board there and did it aggressively. We'll start off with the first couple of moves that happened throughout the day. It took a little while for the gears to get going for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Asante Samuel Jr., the first player for the Steelers to re-sign. I thought that was an interesting move. I thought it felt like it was possibly the end of James Pierre with that signing. Tate, how do you feel about Asante Samuel coming back? We do know that Jamal Dean has also been signed. Joey Porter Jr. is on the team. What kind of role do you see for Asante Samuel?
I think he's your third corner, right? Right. How I see it is I believe Jalen Ramsey will be the big nickel. And I believe with Asante Samuel for 1 year, $4 million, and with Brandon Echols on another 1 year deal, I believe around the same money, you got 2 solid backups. And they got Asante Samuel towards the end of last year off an injury. He didn't coming into a full camp and a new defense and all that stuff. He'll be a better player for it. I like the choice of him over Pierre. I feel like Pierre played well last year, but Pierre at the end of the day was an undrafted free agent guy that we had cut already and came back because we needed a gunner on special teams, and he played well for a stretch last year at corner. The difference between Pierre and Dean is much more man-to-man. With the Steelers and the defense they play a lot of off-man coverage and cover 2 and stuff, and so they're not great at the same. Like both things aren't equal. Dean plays a lot of man-to-man coverage. James Pierre play a lot of zone coverage. So for them to be the ranking Shannon used, I get it. That's where they're ranked, but playing with different schemes though. So
yeah,
I like Asante because I'm a pedigree guy. I'm a talent in the room guy. I know Asante Samuel was a second-round pick out of Florida State about 4 or 5 years ago. His dad played a long time in the NFL, was a really good corner, won Super Bowls on the Patriots teams. And so I like him as the upside, right? They signed him to a 1-year deal. If he plays well, it looks like he's back. They keep him as the third corner and let Eccles go. So they're setting themselves up for the future and what that looks like here and now.
Yes, sir. And for you, Shannon, with the moves that they have made, Asante Samuel, Jamal Dean, like, we mentioned Joy Porter Jr., the possibility of Ramsey now being able to go back into sometimes the corner. Maybe he's transitioning to safety. I want to get your opinion on Ramsey as well. But does this rule out the possibility of the Pittsburgh Steelers drafting a cornerback early in this upcoming draft?
No. Every move they've made so far is just actually opened up the window that they can pick anybody, truly best player available. Because, again, this is building this roster to be prepared when they do find their quarterback, whoever that may be. And it's smart. They're being economically feasible and responsible with what they're giving up so far, what the contracts offers have been. They haven't maxed out anybody to, out of desperation. I heard somebody say, well, Dean's, 30 years old. Well, he's 29, but he might be 30 before the year starts. I don't care. Quarterbacks,
he turns 30, October.
Yeah, corners, their prime. You pick up a 35-year-old Slay. Yeah, you're getting a guy on his last legs. That's not Dean. Dean had his best season last year, arguably. So, the fit and the defense, there's certain things that matter, but McCarthy is very familiar, and the whole coaching staff is very familiar with Dean. And so I feel very confident about that. Samuel, I like Samuel, except Samuel, it was never physical. He doesn't like to tackle, and it's even worse now that he's had the neck injury. Now, coming back, he'll have a full year, and he'll have all off season, and hopefully he'll be a little more physical. But you're not wanting to. I've heard people say put him in the slot, and Coach KT said, yeah, that Baltimore will run right at him, and as we know. The more physical teams, like that, will exploit him if you play him in the slot. So he has a lot of value. I like him as a man cover. You think about it. You got Joey Porter Jr., who is turned into the Big Ben Roethlisberger of cornerbacks, and that he gets no respect, even though he's one of the top 5. But it's just, he's not flashy. He's not pulling down a lot of picks, returning for TDs. He don't, and his attitude rubs some people the wrong way. But if you just go by talent, the guy's a stud. Now you got Dean on the other side. Samuel you throw in there. I like Pierre, and I'm happy for Pierre to finally get that contract. Something more than he playing on a year-to-year basis. He's got a little security now. But I'm fine with Samuel. We don't know what Kent can develop because he got hurt early. You never know about Trice because he can't stay healthy. You can't count on him at all, but you at least invite him back to camp and see what he can do. But I think that they could easily pick up somebody else, more inexpensive free agent or a draft pick. If you get a shot at one of the guys you're really targeting, you get them.
Yeah, definitely. I like I said, I like the moves, and I think that in the end, it doesn't really necessarily count the Steelers out of the cornerback, possibility in the draft. But it doesn't make it a necessity. They don't have to reach for the position if the top cornerbacks or cornerback that they're willing to pick is not there. Go ahead.
Well, real quick, I think what Shannon said, that's exactly traditionally what the Steelers do. They fill needs, so there's no obvious apparent hole that they have to target in the draft. So getting a receiver, now if somebody falls to you, don't take receiver in the first, you can't say you didn't get a guy. We'll get another guy in the second now. You're going to have to be top priority. Same thing with corner. Now, if one of the top 4 receivers is there, one of the top 2 corners is there, they still can do that. So
and when they don't do that, we get an Artie Burns, or we get a Devin Bush. We get a reach, and we don't want no reaches.
No, not at all. And so the second player that was re-signed for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I want your opinion on this, Tate. At this point, the Steelers hadn't made a move for an outside guy. They signed Cole Holcomb to a 2-year deal of $5 million. Were you getting nervous yet? Because I was like, man, the Steelers aren't going to do anything. And then secondly, there's some rumors that are going around that there's a possibility of a Patrick Queen trade to Dallas. I don't know how true those are. A lot of people have been reporting that all over X. With the signing of Cole Holcomb, how does that impact the rest of the inside linebackers? Is this just a rotational piece with a lot of special teams associated with him? What do you think about the signing of Cole Holcomb?
Yeah, well, initially, and so far I hadn't heard anything about the Patrick Queen trade. I mean, because what the signing of Cole Holcomb told me was that they're probably going to keep Queen, but if depending on what the trade rumors are and what they could get for Queen, then potentially so. But with Dallas just getting Rashawn Gary, have to pay George Pickens to take on Patrick Queen's $15-16 million cap hit, I don't see that. But I think Cole Holcomb is just that. He's a veteran who can get in the game and run the defense, be the green dot. He's not the best at pass coverage because he's getting older, but he's really good in his prime. He can stop the run and cover the pass. So right now, to me, he's a good fourth linebacker. I think it puts Harrison at risk. I think they like the duality of Holcomb over Harrison, who's just a plugger, where Holcomb might not be the plugger that Harrison is, but the fact that he is a plugger and can cover makes him better than Harrison. You can cut Harrison, get off $5 million, and look for either draft or maybe free agency. I see Big G told me earlier, one of the chats, that the Broncos cut Greenlaw, their linebacker. So he's out there for nothing. So I'm not saying that's the answer, but I think if you cut Harrison, you keep Holcomb, and you don't trade Queen and Wilson are the guys. Holcomb's in the room. Now, do you flip Harrison for another guy to bring in the room that has more duality and can do both things better? So you got 4 linebackers and that can play the run and the pass, with Wilson probably being the least against the run. But I'm expecting some growth in his game too this year. More muscle put on, more physicality to his game. So I like the move up for Holcomb. I like him over Harrison if that's what they decide to do.
Yeah. What about you, Shannon? What are your thoughts on the move for Holcomb? Were you at all any nervous that they weren't going to make any moves? Because it was kind of moving slow there for a second.
Well, they're kind of, even last year, I think they really kicked it off big time in the second day. So I wasn't panicking yet or anything. I was like, because seeing the guys coming off and the pricing, I was like, nah, I don't, like I said that I would have considered Willis at 20 to 25. And I didn't want to go any higher than that. And so he come in, close to the 25. But, Miami is an opportunity for that young man. And I think that a lot of these moves that happened today, I think guys went where they really needed to be. And I think the way the Pittsburgh, that they played their hand and Con and them kind of let it fall to them, if you'd asked me one of the top 3 positions would have been Dean, and he would have been one of the top options. Honestly, I had no idea Pittman was even a possibility were going to be available. So I'm happy with that. And
I think, Shannon, that the talk with Pittman was they might have cut him or tried to trade him, but I think they knew they wanted to pay Pierce, and they didn't want both those wide receivers. So it was talked about some weeks ago, maybe a little bit, but I don't think nobody took anything seriously. But yeah, I was surprised that it happened today. I was surprised.
Oh yeah, there was the article like 3 days ago said that Pittman, they either had to extend him and clear some money for Pierce, or they had to trade him. Well, I never thought, they said they didn't want to trade him. I didn't think that was an option. So it worked out. And like I was saying on an earlier podcast, his wife had a dream like a few days ago that he was wearing a Steeler uniform. And he said, the Lord works in mysterious ways. It was fate. He was meant to be here. So, but yeah, so far, I'm real happy for Holcomb. He's going to be a full year removed from the injury. last year he was never fully 100%. I think that's why you've seen Harrison so much. I like Harrison, except he is not good in pass coverage.
Right.
And having a 2-down guy and you want to get him off before 3rd down, get him off the field, that's tough sometimes. Whereas Holcomb is at least adequate in coverage. So I think that's okay if Holcomb ends up taking that position. I think as big as Tate already mentioned, I think we need to see Peyton Wilson put on some functional strength this offseason to hold up better against the run. Because his mobility, his athleticism, his coverage is great. So I'd like to see him become the full-time green dot. And then, like I said, there's another position the Steelers is going to possibly focus on early in the draft.
Yeah, inside linebacker is still a question mark. If Patrick Queen ends up getting traded out, I would assume the Steelers are aren't going to go with just Cole Holcomb and Peyton Wilson. They're going to have to address that. I think Devin Lloyd is still available. I wouldn't mind, that transition there. But we'll see how that plays out. If they let go of Queen, I mean, in my opinion, it would be pretty important that they have a backup option. Now, you mentioned the trade for Michael Pittman, and that was the trade that started things going for the Pittsburgh Steelers outside of the players that were already members of the team. And so I like I just kind of give you guys my opinion on it. I like the move. I was surprised by it. I wasn't expecting them to be out there it's going to be on the trade market. And then when I saw the compensation, I was even more ecstatic. Yeah. Switching out a 5th round pick and getting back to 6th round. So a little bit of a pick swap, and that is it. I know when the trade came out, I was like, man, I hope they gave up like a 4th for him. I would have been pretty happy with that, and to find out it was a 5th for a 6th, that is amazing, for that role. Now, of course, they're going to extend him and work out a deal with him. We mentioned
they have already.
Yeah, I think it's
3 for 59.
Yeah,
3 for 59.
There it is, 3 for 59, and so.
Which is he was the one, a true number wide receiver 1 for the Colts. So that's a solid deal.
How does that compare to Metcalf's? What was his?
He's 30, right?
He was 5 for 150.
Yeah, he's 30. Yeah.
Yeah, 30. But I think this year he's how it's broken. I think this year is 32. And I think Pittman's contract, he had 1 more year left with the Colts. They tore it up and reworked it in 3 years with the Steelers for $59 million, which is about $19 a year. Yeah. So you're looking at paying about just under $50 million for your 2 starting wide receivers.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that means he's wide receiver 2 in the eyes of the front office for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But this also doesn't prevent the Steelers from going out there and drafting a wide receiver in an early round.
Yeah.
Again, it doesn't make the Steelers, it doesn't force their hand to. Now, you mentioned Roman Wilson, him being a 3rd rounder and him, utilizing him. I think it's going to depend on who the quarterback is. If it's going to be Aaron Rodgers again, I don't know. I don't know if Roman Wilson is going to get that much of an opportunity. I like the move with Pittman. He's an experienced wide receiver, partnering him up with that Aaron Rodgers. I think that could work. But I think Roman Wilson is a guy that maybe perhaps doesn't see the field if it's Aaron Rodgers. And I know a lot of people are going to say, hey, you're throwing away a 3rd round pick. But, I know we're going to get to him here in a minute. But with Rico Dowdo, I mean, I don't see Caleb Johnson hitting the field anytime soon either. And he was a 3rd round pick as well. So maybe perhaps Steelers aren't afraid of, the 3rd rounders don't show up of moving away from them. But what are your thoughts on the room itself? We'll start off with you, Tate. How does Pittman bring in the room together? Is he going to be a guy that we're going to see on the outside? Is he more a guy you're going to see in the slot? What do you expect out of seeing from him?
That's the thing about it. He can do both. I mean, right? I mean, he's played in the slot over his career in Indianapolis, and he played outside. He's a bigger receiver, so I think he'll be good for those back shoulder routes and stuff like that along the sideline. And he's a chain mover, so he goes across them. He's a good route runner to be 6'4" too. So I really like him as the second wide receiver, and 1A, 1B really to me. DK has more speed, more power. We know what two different type wide receivers, both big body, but different type wide receivers. As far as Roman Wilson, like Aaron Rodgers got to work with Roman Wilson, because Roman Wilson potentially could be here longer than Aaron Rodgers. You got to see what you got. You can't let Aaron Rodgers bring in MVS and Adam Thielen again. I just don't agree with that. I don't agree with that at all. I saw Roman Wilson play at Michigan. I see he's working out this offseason with the route god, doing stuff. The kid looks good. Now, maybe, if Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback, we don't know that part yet. If Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback, then they need to get together, DK, Pittman, whatever the wide receiver room looks like, because you're telling me, because Roman Wilson's young, he don't work, when we still need to draft the wide receiver is going to be a young guy, and because we got Aaron Rodgers for 1 year, we're going to freeze everybody else out. I just don't like that potential decision-making because Aaron Rodgers is quarterback.
I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you at all. What about you there, Shannon? I know you've touched on it quite a bit about the wide receiver room, but where do you see Michael Pittman seeing most of his role being at?
He moved around with the Colts, and I think he'll move around in Pittsburgh. Because they moved Metcalf some last year, trying to get favorable matchups. He is a totally different type of receiver. As I said, Pittman is more of a hands catcher, chain mover, can run a complete tree, can work out of the slot, can work outside. And one thing I got to mention, and we need it, especially with what happened with DK last year, is Pittman is low drama. Even when the Colts have had some really ugly stretches of football, in the last few years at times, he has not created drama. One of my best friends is a big Colts fan, and he only spoke highly of him, and no problems. That's something the Steelers need. They need to get away from the problem child. They need to get away from the drama queen and get to the guys who want to play football, who are about the team first, and realize that, when you're winning, everybody looks good. Mm-hmm. And, if you get 4 catches for 40 yards, but you win the game, it's better than getting 8 catches for $150 and you lose. So I want that mentality. And I think Pittman will bring that strong qualities to that room. And I think it'll free up Metcalf to be even more effective, because you have to play Pittman. You have to keep coverage to his side too. And that'll open up whoever, if it's Roman Wilson or whoever's running inside. And of course, we know Pittman will run some out of the slot. But I think I've heard people talk about, Pittman, man, just throw it up. We got 2 6'4" receivers. That's not Pittman's game. He's a good athlete. He's not truly explosive. I mean, for that position, he's like a 35 vertical, a 4.5 40. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think on contested catches last year, he was like 7 out of 17 that he come down with. So that's not his forte. He's a route runner. He's a chains mover. And that's what the Steelers need. So, once people get used to him and how he plays his game, like Tate said, he's a really good route runner for a guy of his size and weight. He's a very good blocker. And he's an enthusiastic blocker. You ain't going to have to goad him into blocking or warn him. He'll do it. So I think that the room is already better than it was at any point last year, when they brought in a guy on his last leg getting ready to retire, and a guy that should have probably retired 3 years ago. And I'm surprised they didn't bring in Randall Cobb. Anybody that Rodgers had ever played with, that's what they wanted. That's why I don't want Rodgers back, because I think you're just setting everybody back and wasting a year.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you there, to a certain extent. But with Pittman and him added to the room 100%, I think that the room is way better. I think he's going to be number 11. I think he's going to carry it on. I know some folks were kind of saying that number 11 has been kind of cursed for the Pittsburgh Steelers, with Moncrief and such. But no, I think
Wheaton was decent.
Wheaton was decent. And so we got number 11. I think he's going to take on number 11. It'll be interesting to see him in a Steelers uniform. But we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we got some more players that we're going to talk about. But before we also do that, I want to tell everybody, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, ring that notification bell. We got 146 people in here. Let's get the likes and the subscribes up. We'll be right back after a few words from our sponsors. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. Before we get back into the conversation, I want to remind you guys of our website, stillcurtainnetwork.com, your one-stop shop for Pittsburgh Steelers news and coverage. Go check it out when you're done listening here. Get caught up on all the breaking news and coverage. Also, while you're there, you can check out the audio-only podcast, which include mine. It's called State of the Steelers. It airs out on Saturdays at about 11 a.m. You won't be disappointed, but it's only on the audio side only. All righty, guys. So, when the trade happened with Michael Pittman, I thought, all right, this is it. This is the biggest trade of the day. This is the biggest move of the day. But it got better. The Steelers end up signing cornerback Jamal Dean to a 3-year contract, $36.75 million. James Pierre ended up signing with the Vikings on a 2-year deal, $8.5 million. We talked a little bit about Jamal Dean, but a little bit more about him. He's going to be partnered out there. I think he's going to be your cornerback one, in my opinion, and you're paying him quite a bit. And I think he's going to be, I don't think you have to make him follow anybody. I think him and Joey Porter Jr., they're good enough that they can stay on their respective sides. And I expect something like that to happen. What kind of role, we'll start off with you, Tate. What kind of role do you see with Jamal Dean? Is he going to be strictly outside? I know he did some safety work with the Buccaneers. Do you see him going back and forth at all?
Not at all. Did you say he's going to be number one corner?
I think he could be. Him and Joey Porter Jr.
No, Joey Porter Jr. JPJ's about to get paid.
I was going to ask you that. When is that happening?
Well, I mean, this is his last year on his current deal. This is year 4. So I think they probably, and he probably wants to be extended this season.
Yeah.
To this season. That's just how it works. You don't play a year not having a future. Guys sit out because of that.
Yeah.
Unless you get franchise tag. So we're going to see something happen this summer with that. And the figure I have in my head right now is JPJ gets $25 million a year. Like Shannon said earlier, JPJ's clearly, with no respect, is a top 5 corner. So we can't say the addition of Dean, and he's not the number 1 corner when he's top 5 in the league. So PZ Jr. is definitely number 1, but Jamal Dean is a great number 2. He's a physical corner. He's 6'1", 200 plus pounds, a little over. Played at Auburn, a 3rd round pick. So he played in the SEC when he was drafted. Tough guy, like Shannon said earlier. His resume, Super Bowl winner, has been, really one of the good man coverage corners. And with Patrick Graham, I can see an aggressive style defense coming. They got two big corners with Porter and Dean on the other side. I clearly think safety is an issue, not just safety, free safety, because you're going to put Jalen Ramsey in the slot. Jalen Ramsey's good at blitzing. He's physical against the run. Mm-hmm. So I think ideally you got size out there with your corners. You got Dean, Ramsey in the slot, and JPJ on the other side, along with Elliott coming back and whatever you do at safety. I've heard talk about Brisker in free agency, but I like Brisker a lot. And if they run those 3 safety packages, that works. But you still need some type of true free safety with a speed guy back there that can play center field. So, but the addition of Dean is great. It's a great addition. It's better than what we've seen him get at corner the past few years.
Yeah.
Patrick Peterson, Darius Slay, all those guys. This is better than that.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you there. I think he is better than all them. I agree with you. I think JPJ is definitely number 1. But Shannon, do you think that you're going to have JPJ follow the top wide receiver across the board, or do you think this type of moves allows them to stay on their own respective side?
The Steelers kind of resistant to doing that. They don't like having their corners follow. They've had enough trouble with communications as we've seen in that last Ravens game, where, they really played great that game, but they give up 4 big plays with miscommunications and coverage breakdowns, and they could have easily lost, even though I think that they outplayed the Ravens entirely the whole game. So the Steelers, maybe with the new coaching staff, they might come up with some new ideas, and I think we'll see them move Ramsey around again. I think Ramsey's future is at safety, but especially with this move today to get Dean, Ramsey is great in the slot. He gets a lot of variety of coverage. Now, he does not match up well with small, quick, shifty guys anymore. You give him a bigger receiver, give him a tight end, he's got it. He can blitz. He's great in run defense. But now if you get a shifty guy in there, that's when you'll need a guy like a Kent or a guy you might pick up in the draft, or even Samuel at some point. Try to put him on a smaller, shifty guy. But I like the direction it's going. I'm more excited about getting Dean with this signing than I was Ramsey last year. And I was very excited about Ramsey because of his versatility. My question last year, and I know me and Tate talked about it, is, what did Slay have left? And it turned out it wasn't much. So I don't feel that way about Dean at all. So I think this is a great signing. And I'm excited about that room. And as you say, the safety position now is more of a paramount need than cornerback is.
And I'll add to what you said, Shannon. I do think Ramsey's future is at safety. I just don't know if it's with the Steelers after this year. So my take is this year he plays a nickel, you draft a safety, and maybe next year you look for a strong safety because Elliott will have 1 year left on his deal going into the 27 season.
And hopefully Elliott comes back is still Elliott. You know what I mean?
Oh, well, yeah. Well, I think as far as Elliott goes, that's the mental aspect. That's the passion he plays with, right?
Yeah.
So now hopefully he can do what he was doing.
Yeah.
But I have no question about what kind of energy he'll bring to the team and leadership and all that stuff.
I'm just worried about the age because he's 30 now,
right.
And he's 30. So yeah.
Do you think the Steelers, and I'll ask you this, Tate, do you think the Steelers, given the moves that they've made, given the hole at the safety position and the possible hole to come in the future, that they target maybe a guy like Caleb Downs out of Ohio, who is falling, not necessarily quick, but has some injury issues, and so he may be there at 21 when the Steelers, or maybe even at 12 or 15 in striking range for the Steelers to move
I can see that more than him falling all the way to 21. I mean, but yeah, I mean the fact that he had
knee concern.
Yeah, it's the physicals, but we know Omar Khan has been aggressive. We've seen him doing with Darnell Washington, Peyton Wilson, with Faetano, and all these guys have looked good. I mean,
but they also fell because of the knee concern. And the Steelers took a chance. I'm just saying he might fall because of that.
Oh, yeah, that part. I thought you meant the Steelers fell by taking those guys. Like
No. I'm talking about he might fall down to the Steelers' range because of the knee concern. And like you said, based on his decisions in the past, I think the Steelers would jump all over that.
Yeah, I would too. I mean, if he falls like to that 13 to 15, 16 range, you start making calls and see what it'll take. Steelers got their compensatory picks today. They have a total of 13 picks now in the draft. You got enough ammunition to make moves up and down that board and identify the players you want to get those players. Caleb Downs is a game changer. I'm an Ohio State fan. I watched him the 2 years he's been there since he left Alabama. No injury concerns, no problems at Ohio State. So why would I put that on him now? Yeah. I got to take that shot and get that in my building if I could make it happen.
Yeah, that's that. When I saw the moves that were happening today, that was the first move that I was kind of like, all right, the Steelers, it could be a quarterback still. I mean, maybe Ty Simpson, they're a little bit higher than on him than most of than me.
But no, I'm with Shannon. No. Hey, big G style, hell no.
But I started thinking, I was like, you know what, they are. I mean, the safety and maybe even defensive linemen, because Cam Hayward's kind of going out the door, and last year when Harmon wasn't on the field, the defensive line kind of, struggled. The opposing offenses were able to run the ball at will almost, and so I was like, all right, this is setting up for quarterback, defensive line, or safety. And I'm liking Caleb Downs, and I know his draft stock is kind of falling a little bit to the point where, hey, Steelers might be in position to go and get him, and partnering him up there and having him learn underneath Ramsey and Davis and oh God, not Davis. What's his name?
Elliott.
Elliott. There you go. Deshaun Elliott. I got stuck with Davis. Deshaun Elliott.
Deshaun Davis that played for Pittsburgh too. That puts you in mind to me.
You're going back.
I'm going way too far.
The
car accident is sending me back in time. And so, but getting a guy like Caleb Downs, the safety position has been one that has been a concern for the Steelers a little bit, over the last few years due to injuries, basically. And I mean, I would be interested in this, and I'm looking forward to it. I think this is something that maybe we should be all looking forward to as a possible draft pick in the upcoming draft.
We need to come up with a rumor to start about Downs that will cause him to drop even more, where the Steelers could get him. But I will say this real quick before we go to the next subject. I feel sorry for Minka. I love Minka Fitzpatrick. And here you go from the Dolphins, and now they send you to the daggone Jets, who the first team ever they had no interceptions all year long. And I mean, I know that's fluky, and they might turn it around this year, and I have nothing against Aaron Glenn, but man, I feel sorry for Minka.
Hey, he got a $40 million bag. I don't feel that sorry.
Okay.
Because he obviously decided to re-sign, like Daniel said. They can't make you re-sign. He decided to re-sign. So
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, he got paid. So they can only go up. I mean, they got no interceptions last year, so he can take all the credit for any interception they get this year. It's like, hey,
I guess, that's.
I was hoping he got cut, so a possibility could be we can have a reunion, but he would have needed to get cut for that. I was talking to, Devin Shannon does a Coast to Coast podcast with me.
Yeah.
She really wanted Minka back, and I said, well, I think we would have gave it some consideration if he got cut, but the Jets said we'll give you a 7th for him, and that's what got it. So yeah,
man.
All it took, just one team, and at the end of the day, this is probably because nobody else was willing to give anything up for him, and so, I positive to say, if he was a free agent, $40 million is quite a bit of money, and so maybe that'll get him to go that direction. But if he has other offers, a similar amount of money with better possibility for a chance to win a championship or something, he's probably going that direction. Now, the most recent, and I'm going to check, make sure that nothing else is broken.
I ain't seen anything. I've been looking.
Well, just a couple of rumors, I guess. Gary Dulac says the Steelers' next move in free agency is expect to be a starting veteran guard to replace Isaac Seumalo. So Isaac Seumalo, he ended up leaving. He signed with the Arizona Cardinals for a 3-year, $31.5 million, leaving somewhat of a hole there at the guard position. Gary Dulac saying that the Steelers are going to target somebody else in free agency. What do you think about that? I know some folks were like, hey, let's give Spencer Anderson a chance, his backup. Let's see what he has. But it is a position of need. What do you guys think? Steelers have 13 picks. Could they use one of those for a guard? Let's start off with you, Tate.
Yeah, man. It will be a position of need. I hear talk about Spencer Anderson getting an opportunity. I think you could draft one. I'm not against drafting one. I seen when the offensive line when the combine. I like the kid from Iowa, Dunker, as a possibility. I like the kid from Georgia Tech. His name missing me right now, but I liked him. These are guards, right?
Yeah.
Using a 2nd or 3rd round capital on that. What I don't want to do, which is where me and my boy Big G disagree. He been all one Vega for about a month now. And I like Vega. I think Vega's a great tackle, but I'm of the belief the Steelers have spent a lot of high capital. Fautanu 1, Jones 1, Zach Frazier 2. We're talking about building the trenches, right? You got Harmon with a 1, you got Keanu Benton with it 2. So I mean, you've got bigs now that what we need in abundance, or at least some of mixed in there, are skill guys, whether it's a corner, whether it's another wide receiver. If you get one of the guys that you want to fill out the room, to have somebody, because Pittman and DK both are like 28, 29. And so to get a young guy in there with a first round pick and you control them for a 5th year as those guys age out and you bring other young talent in, I'm thinking ahead. I'm not thinking for right now, because I think that guard is a position you can fill in free agency or fill with a 2nd or 3rd round pick and get a really good guy. I think the fact that they said that Broderick Jones is not as bad as we thought it was could mean that they could consider his 5th year option. Just because, why now? Why not just let him be hurt and say he's hurt and say, oh, it's not as bad as we thought it was? So to me now, that I'm not saying it'll happen. That means it's a consideration though, because the lineman from the Commanders got paid $30 million today. Laramie Tunsil, he's one of the top guys, but so the top of the market for a tackle, when we're talking about $30-31 million. If you can get Broderick Jones and he can play and you can see what it looks like still, $19 million is a cheap tackle to keep your 1st round pick and see what you got. And if it don't work, then that 5th year you let him go and you're done with it. So I'd hate to see him go somewhere else, Kevin Dotson, and be successful and actually start to play. We got a new line coach, a new scheme. I'm curious, that's all. So, but I do think guard is a bigger need than tackle, because I think Jones could eventually be back and Cook looked good enough last year that I'm willing to let him start it out. Now, do you need to put some late capital in it? Yeah, you do. But guard is most important to me, but not in the 1st round.
What about you, Shannon? How concerned are you with the guard position? Do you think they're going to target somebody in free agency? Let me kind of take a gander at the offensive lineman real quick in free agency.
While you're doing that, I wanted to mention that if you remember late in the year, number 93, Easy Altameo, I don't know how you say his name.
Also way, something like that. We know you're talking about.
He, he got a good bit of playing time late in the year on the defensive line. They re-signed him to a 1-year deal. So, you got Logan Lee. I mean, there's some guys. Lee's played a good bit at the end of the year. So he's worked his way onto the field. So that bodes well for the defensive line moving forward. But I agree with Tate about, I think that guard is where I would focus. I like Cook. I think Cook could be your next diamond in the rough. A guy who went to college as a quarterback, went to tight end, ended up at tackle. So he never has much experience anywhere. Doesn't get drafted, comes in, practice squad, So for him to be as effective in his, 4 games or 5 towards the end of the year, that says a lot of how far he's developed. And a full offseason, a new coaching staff with a full complement of coaches, position coaches to work with him, I think he could take a step forward. And I'll say this, I'm not against Spencer Anderson getting a chance. I think Spencer Anderson has been the jack of all trades, master of none. He's played any position. He can play any position. But if he can only focus on left guard, I think that we might see him take a step forward because I do believe he's a baller. I mean, it's athletic score when he come out. The only reason he wasn't drafted higher is because he played everywhere. And it was really limited tape on him at any one position. But his athletic score was like in the top 10% for the position that year. So that shows you that, like, you think about, let's think of Ramon Foster. Here's the guy that went undrafted and ended up having a long career in the NFL because as a guard, if you're fundamentally sound, you can anchor, you're tough, you're durable, and you're a good teammate, because that offensive line is like 5 fingers to make a fist. That if you have that chemistry with your teammates, you can have a long career in the NFL. And I'm not writing Spencer Anderson off as an afterthought. I know that I like him more than G does. And I don't know about you two, but I think Spencer Anderson deserves a shot to compete for that, whether it's with a veteran they bring in, depending on how much they pay, of course, or where they draft somebody. I still think Spencer Anderson should get a chance to compete for that position.
Yeah, I agree with Shannon. Everything he said. I mean, Spencer Anderson has moved around because he's so versatile. He's moved around. We don't have to worry about him playing a big tight end anymore because we're not going to see 13 personnel, right?
Yeah.
At most, we'll see 12. We'll see a lot of 11 with McCarthy's offense. So he can focus, like Shannon said, focus on one position. I think he still can be a better player once he gets to narrow it down to one position.
Yeah, 100%, guys. And the biggest, well, maybe not the biggest, but one of the biggest moves, the most recent one, the Steelers go out there and sign, and I haven't seen any figures on the signing yet. They signed Rico Dowdell, running back, to replace Kenneth Gainwell, who signed with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on a 2-year, $14 million deal, $7 million a year. Let's start off before we get into Dowdell. What does that say about the Steelers and perhaps Gainwell? That's not groundbreaking money. The Steelers could have paid him, $7 million a year. What does that tell you? We'll start off with you, Shannon. What does that say about Kenneth Gainwell and the Steelers' interest, apparently lack thereof interest of him?
I don't think it says anything about either. Honestly, it's a new coaching staff. It's a new scheme. I said it earlier on Big G's podcast. To me, hopefully Gainwell won't be needed like he was last year. It was like when Najee Harris had all them yards his rookie year. The Steelers had no other option. The offense was so bad, they were forcing him the ball. He got force-fed the ball. Last year, the Steelers had one quality receiver they could count on. They didn't use the tight ends, and Gainwell was their leading receiver. And so he got carries, he got catches. He was like the offensive MVP. And now if they have a legit NFL offense this year, he wasn't going to get that same opportunity. Now, he parlayed that opportunity into a real contract for him. And he had it increased his value and he cashed in, and I'm happy for him. But I don't want him to have to do that again. So I would rather have Warren, who I still think is a starter, even with Rico. I think Warren is the starter. Then you got Rico, and then we'll see what Caleb Johnson can actually do when he ain't in the doghouse in an honest-to-God NFL offense. So I think the Steelers go 3 deep at running back. I'm excited about it. But I'm happy for Gainwell, but I did not want them to overpay because I don't want him to have to be needed in the same manner, in the same way that he was last year.
Yeah. I mean, $7 million don't seem like being overpaid for Gainwell. And he was a team MVP. To me, that just kind of tells me personally that maybe they looked at Gainwell and Jalen Warren as two peas of the same pot and needing a different type of runner. And I think that's what Rico brings. What do you think there, Tate? What does this move mean for Caleb Johnson, another third round pick? We talked about Roman Wilson earlier not being utilized. Johnson really never got the ball going last year. I think he had some flashes here and there where he had a couple plays where he got a couple 9 yards here or there, and then they took him out at the towards the latter part of the season. He didn't even get dressed. Is this the end for that young man outside of an injury?
I don't think so. You can't give up on third round talent. Mike McCarthy runs a zone running scheme. So did Arthur Smith, just a different style, but zone running nonetheless. The Steelers drafted Caleb Johnson because he's a zone runner. So I think what you get with Dowdell is a mixture between Gainwell and Caleb Johnson both, because Dowdell's a physical runner, which Caleb Johnson is, who can catch the ball, what Gainwell did. So, you take what they both do in Dowdell, you get Caleb Johnson and what Gainwell was doing. So you get two of the same guy. Gainwell was a team MVP last year, but I mean, it's kind of like misguided, misconceived that, I mean, he was a really, really good player, but we think about it, a lot of empty calories, right? Somebody got to get the numbers on a bad offense. It's like you playing basketball. Yeah, you won 14 games and your guy averages 28, 29 points a game, but what's that contribute to winning? The fact of the matter is Gainwell got all his numbers, a lot of his numbers off dump-off pass from Aaron Rodgers. We didn't have receivers that could get open. So if Aaron Rodgers gets rid of the ball quick, Gainwell's a good receiving running back. But when we talk about running back, I mean, he had some good runs. I mean, I think a lot of times the defense thinks he's in there as a receiver and you slip some runs in. couple of his long runs was off the fake tush push. I mean, which elevates your numbers up when you get 60 and 50-yard runs on those things. So I think he was a good guy to have. Is he worth $7 million a year? I'm reading about Didell, $4 million, signed for $4 million.
Oh, okay.
So and Jalen Warren is getting $6 million. So, you know, that's $10 million between those two. And I imagine Caleb Johnson's not getting a whole bunch. So you keep the entire running back room under $12 million, right? Mm-hmm. So, yeah, so I like that. I think, like, again, Johnson needs a chance. Dowdell was there to provide a backup for both roles as a physical rusher and as a pass catcher. But I think you'll see over the course of the season, because it looks like Dowdell's deal is 1 year, $4 million, which he had better numbers than Gainwell last year for the Panthers. I mean, he took Chuba Hubbard's position as their season went on. Chuba Hubbard was their number one. And it's about familiarity. Mike McCarthy's familiar with him. He played him in Dallas for a couple seasons. And, you know, so he had a good game against us when Dallas was last with the Steelers 2 years ago in Pittsburgh. He had a good rushing game against us that year too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't disagree. And I think that, you know, I was watching some highlights, which you can't watch too many highlights, but he looks like a big physical running back. With some speed to him as well. He had an insane game where he ran for like 234 yards. You know, I think it was against maybe the Dolphins or something like that. And, you know, I'm excited about the move. You know, I don't think it necessarily rules out Caleb Johnson, especially if it's a $4 million contract. You know, I think that I mean, obviously, I mean, I'd rather take that than the $7 million for 2 years for Gainwell at this point. But yeah, no, I think he's going to be a good 1-2 punch with Jalen Warren, and as you mentioned, he took over for Chuba Hubbard last year, and the only reason they released him and not Chuba Hubbard is because, well, Chuba, I think they owed him some money, and so yeah, and
a lot of times,
yeah, and you know, the last position I want to talk to you guys about is the quarterback position. So the Steelers didn't make any moves. Malik Willis goes out and signs a contract already. I think it was like something like $30+ million a year for 3 years. Pretty insane. What are your thoughts?
It wasn't 30. It was like he was like 23 a year. It was like
23.
Three for
67
or something like that. Yeah.
So almost. So yeah, you're right. About $23 million a year on a 3-year deal. I'm assuming it's probably the years is the why the Steelers weren't interested in that. I think if it was maybe a 2-year deal or 1 year, that's probably more attractive to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Some other quarterbacks have moved around since then, and there's only a handful that are left. One of them, I think the biggest name that's left on the draft, I mean on the board outside of Aaron Rodgers, is Kyler Murray. Not really a move that I want, but we'll start off with you, Tate. With all the moves and the quarterback move not being one, what does that say for you going forward right now? Are you concerned about that position and going into this season?
I'm concerned because, I mean, I think Aaron Rodgers will be back, and that's both good and bad, right? I mean, we know we're getting a solid veteran quarterback who will run a competent offense and put the team in proper position to, you know, to be successful, especially with weapons. But we're still taking a pause year, right? We don't know what we got. We still need a quarterback. We don't know what Will Howard will be. We don't, you know, I mean, so if I was doing that, I mean, I understand I don't want Kyler Murray, but if I get Kyler Murray for $1.5 million, and if he fails, it's $1.5 million. Let me put in Will Howard. Let me see what he has now. You know what I mean? I think Kyler Murray has he's cheaper, even cheaper than what Aaron Rodgers would be, probably about $15 million if it's anything like last year. Kyler Murray would be cheaper. He has experience. And if he fails, though, you have no problem sitting a $1.5 million guy on your bench and giving the young guy a chance because it's not about the money at all.
Yeah.
That's the only benefit I see in that. My favorite bridge quarterback is, right as it stands right now, Geno Smith.
What about you, Shannon? Where are you at on the quarterback position? You know, now with what is left on the table, who are you hoping, or where do you think the Steelers should go?
I I'm on record that you throw stuff at the wall, see what sticks, because, you know, until you find a quarterback capable of leading you to a championship, you're not a true contender.
Yeah.
You got to at least have the guy capable. You know, you can have a exceptional game manager who can make big plays when necessary. You know, top 5, those guys can win. Even top 10. I mean, you know, if you'd have told me that Sam Darnold would have won the Super Bowl, I wouldn't have believed it just 2 or 3 years ago. But you've seen in Minnesota that, okay, maybe we misjudged him a little bit, but we'll see. Then this year, of course, they won the Super Bowl. He won it with Seattle. So I'm like, you know, everyone's like, well, he can't be Will Howard because he's a 6th-round pick. Well, you know, they can be 1st-round picks and they flame out. You know, it doesn't matter. There is no sure thing at the quarterback position. You know, you don't know till they prove it that they can do it. A lot of guys get there and cannot do it. Jimmy Garoppolo got there and he could not do it. There's been a ton of them guys. Some guys get there and never get back again. So it's just, to me, you give these younger guys a chance, because we already know what Rodgers is, and he did not get younger. He's getting older, and he's not going to want to take hits. He's not going to want to extend plays. He's not all of a sudden going to get better. Now, would some younger receivers, some more talented receivers, you know, Pittman, is that going to help him? Maybe, but they have to be guys he likes, and he has to have chemistry, and he struggles with that. He never got on the same page with Garrett Wilson in New York, and Garrett Wilson's a stud. Just to be honest, he's a stud. So what I'm saying is, I would rather just get off this old quarterback train. Let's go with something different. Throw it to see what sticks. If it doesn't work out, you got a better draft pick. You don't have to trade up as far trying to get your guy next year. You know, I'm not worried about mediocrity. We've had that for too long. Let's do something different. Let's try to build this thing. So I'm really not interested in Rodgers coming back, but I think that's what will probably happen. I'm not interested in it. I would be fine with Will Howard. There's rumor about Bagent from the Bears, who I've been talking about since last year. I would love to see them give him a shot. I think he could be a starting quarterback in the NFL, more so than I ever thought Rudolph could. And even though he's from a small school here in West Virginia, I do like the young man's moxie, his talent, his competitive drive. And then pick up a guy like Drew Allar or somebody, you know, in the draft in the middle round, and let's roll with it next year, guys. I mean, I don't know what everybody's expecting next year, but I think what we're going to get, if we ain't careful, is bring back, you know, an old quarterback that I questioned his desire to play. Like in the Charger game, he was falling down in a fetal position before he got hit. That's not a Steeler quarterback, in my opinion. So I'm never going to be on board with that. So let's just, you know, let's roll with these younger guys, try something different to see what happens.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to that. You know, I too think that Aaron Rodgers is probably going to be the guy. If I had to put money on it, if you guys were forcing me to bet, and I was going with my head and not my heart, I would be betting that it's probably going to be Rodgers. Devin Lloyd just signed with the Carolina Panthers on a 3-year, $45 million deal, $25 million guaranteed.
Wow,
not bad for him.
That's what I was thinking when it was brought up about Patrick Queen, and you mentioned you liked Devin Lloyd. I liked him too, but you'd be getting rid of Patrick Queen and bring in somebody and pay him more and sign him to a new deal.
No.
When I think Patrick Queen is a good linebacker, maybe a different system, and you get off his contract after next year. You start at 0. You don't have to extend him. You have to do nothing. So I see what that looks like. 1 more year. It's just 1 more year. If he's good and we can renegotiate and bring him back for cheaper, I'm with that. If he's not, you just let him walk and you fill the hole. You know what I mean? So I'm with that. And the quarterback question, Shannon. So not that's a bad. My only problem with that strategy you had is you got 3 young guys who all need development and snaps. How do you divide that up? You got Bagent, Aller, and Howard in the room. What's that look like? You can't even get enough to compete because you got 3 young guys that need all the snaps they can get.
Well, I mean, obviously Aller would need more seasoning than Howard, who has a year in Pittsburgh, even though it's a different system. And Badgett he's had like 6 starts under his belt.
Yeah, he started a little bit in Chicago.
Yeah, a really bad Bears team. I've heard people say he's got 3 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. Well, yeah, but so did Fields. I mean, the Bears sucked back then. They didn't have Johnson as coach yet. They didn't have DJ Moore. They were bad. And he took his lumps, but he showed something. Now, last preseason, he was one of the best quarterbacks during the preseason. And I like how he makes reads, progressions. But I think you'd let Howard and Badgett compete for the starting position and roll with it. And then let Aller learn and get his reps as third team and scout quarterback.
The compensation for Rico Dowdell is out. It's 2 years, $12.25 million.
12.2. Oh, I read something.
Around 6 a year, yeah.
Yeah, for 2 years. So it's about 6 and a little bit more than.
Yeah.
Oh, then the running back room just went to like 13, 14.
Yeah, it's still less than what Gainwell was getting.
Yeah, because Gainwell got 7. He'd take up half of it right there, one player. But yeah.
And probably some of that's guaranteed, and then his cap hit this year is less.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I figure.
So the last question I got for you guys, and I'll start off with you, Tate. Are the Steelers one position away from being a Super Bowl contender with the moves that they've made? Can they be one position away? I know that the big one's a quarterback, but do you think if they get themselves a guy, which it's not looking like there's very many options left, but if somebody comes out of the, if the Steelers landed the next Bo Nix out of the draft, somebody out of that you don't feel is going to, could surprise some people and then ends up making a huge leap, are the Steelers that player away?
No, I'm not even going to pretend with Yens because they get rattled up and get their briefs in a bunch. So I'll just say that I like the moves they're making. I think they're making good, sound moves. I like the direction that they're going in. I like the additions today. We'll see what the rest of the week brings. I think they got a good young talent, and I was defending Omar Khan earlier. I mean, PFF, the Steelers, the NFL grades that came out about the facilities and all that stuff a couple of days ago. Steelers got some bad grades and a lot of stuff. I mean, rightly so, especially the facilities part of it. But Omar Khan got like a C-. I completely disagree with that. As general manager, the only thing he's really missed on is not getting a wide receiver. I think he's going to try and take care of that this year. The Steelers are one more offseason away. This time next year, we can talk about that because I think they'll put the team in place after this year's draft. They'll put the team in place, and I think the sweet spot to get the quarterback is next year. So do I use a 3rd-round pick on Drew Aller? No, I probably go get – that's where I get my linebacker, a corner, a safety. I get more players, and whether it's Aaron Rodgers, Will Howard, or if you make a trade for Tyler Bagent and bring him in. I don't think you draft the quarterback this year because the quarterback draft next year is so plentiful, and you got opportunity to gain more picks next year with all the picks you got this year. So, but they're not a player away. No.
What about you, Shannon? How close do you think the Steelers are?
I'll say 3 years. I'm afraid they're going to waste this one, but hopefully they'll still have a great draft and build the roster. If they get a quarterback, it'll be next year, I believe. Now again, if Howard pans out, it puts them ahead of the game. If they get Bagent, he pans out, you're ahead of the game. But the chances are long. It takes a while to get these guys. Usually very seldom do you have the guy waiting to take over the reins. So if they do draft one, there'll be growing pains during the guy's rookie year next year. Then the next year, that's when you really compete. Even with Ben, and he went undefeated. It was the next year that they were a Super Bowl team. So that's how I feel. They're 3 years away. So no, I definitely think they're a few players away.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think they need a quarterback. They need a lineman. There's a lot of question at the left tackle position if Roderick's going to be healthy and come back. On the defensive side, I think the middle linebacker position is still a big question mark. Still a little bit of a hole there in the defensive line. And then we all agree that safety is probably the biggest need right now. And so outside of quarterback. So yeah, I agree with you. I do think that if they can get somebody, or if they find that quarterback, to be a heck of a lot closer, and they can maybe make some things happen.
They can
But,
compete for the division, because I think Baltimore's took a step back.
I do too.
I think Cincy still don't have a defense, and Cleveland's Cleveland. So
Really,
I think that
really
they
Baltimore
can
took a
compete
step
for the
back?
division.
You really think Baltimore took a step back?
They lost Linderbaum. They lost Lively. They lost. I mean, because I'll tell you this, I love Crosby.
Yeah.
But 2 first-round picks? Are you crazy?
Yeah, with the
There
amount
ain't
of
no-
holes they have now.
Huh?
With the amount of holes
That's
they
what I'm
have
saying.
now.
I think that was a crazy trade.
Yeah,
I
no,
love
yeah.
Crosby, but he didn't even want to leave Vegas.
I knew they lost likely. I didn't realize they lost where Linderbaum signed.
Uh,
Oh, he just signed a huge contract.
yeah, he signed with. I can't remember who he signed with.
I just saw it. I was reading it too. I'll pull it up right now.
I didn't know that one, but yeah.
Yeah, he's no longer there. And
Yeah,
then,
that's going to hurt their offensive
No,
line.
it's gonna hurt him. It's gonna hurt him. I didn't realize that when I asked the
And
question.
I think we seen Henry. He had his like little last.
He went to the
splash
Raiders.
at the end of last
The
year.
Raiders.
Yeah, the Raiders have had a great start to free agency, guys.
Yeah, the Raiders have.
Yeah, I mean, you're getting your line now. You got Genty, you got some receivers. If you
get Mendoza,
if you get Mendoza, that's a
They're
team.
they're gonna get Mendoza, I think, and then with that pick they got from Baltimore for Crosby, pick 14.
Yeah.
That I think they're gonna get a receiver. So now you
Yeah.
got Brock Bowers, you got Genty, you got whatever receiver you take, and you got Mendoza, and you're doing the line through free agency and stuff like that.
yeah, Raiders are going to be
Big
kind of
rebuild there,
dangerous,
definitely.
and they got money to spend. And so,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
but we'll see what happens, guys. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I want to thank Tate and Shannon for joining me tonight. It has been a great conversation. Tomorrow you can catch the Big Brosco show here tomorrow night on Steel Curtain Network. Before we let everybody go, though, Tate and Shannon, both of you guys will start off with you, Tate. Let everybody know what you have going on the rest of the week.
Check out the Know It Alls channel. We have a lot of Steeler discussion over there. Obviously, Shannon was on with Big G earlier this evening on Minister Yin's podcast. On Monday, Big G will be back tomorrow. On Tuesday with his Big G Keeping It 100. That's at noon, and that's it for Tuesday. And then Wednesday we got several Steeler shows also. Tap in over there. And Friday night got the homies, and yeah, so just all kind of stuff going on all the time. Tap in, check it out, put on your notifications, and know it populated, and watch it when you want to.
There you go. What about you, Shannon? What do you got going on the rest of the week?
Yeah, our new podcast, me and Jeremy Betts, on Wednesdays at 8, Yin Still Believe, had a really good first inaugural podcast, and had Nick Fireball on and talked a lot about the combine and some of this free agency stuff. He nailed it. He predicted during the show. So, yeah, definitely tune in Wednesday at 8 and look forward to talking to everybody again then.
Yes, sir. And for me, guys, you'll catch me on State of the Steelers on Steel Curtain Network. It'll air on Saturday at about 11 a.m. I'll be talking about the newest Steelers, the Steelers that left, and everything in between. You don't want to miss it. And again, if you're into like the true crime and conspiracy stuff, I have a show called the DT Show or the Drunk Turkey Show. Search it up. You'll find me. Until next time, guys, you'll have a safe night. Shannon, take us out, my man.